Hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wise.
Hello YouTube fans, as I did the original one by John Carpenter, why not the second one? Now after the big success of Halloween, a couple of days later they decided to make the sequel, that being Halloween 2. Now in the day when this come out, that being 1981, you could say it was a big day for slasher films, and it was a big day for slasher films. Think about it, we had classics, let's say like The Burning, we had the second Friday the 13th, we had The Power, the list goes on. There's probably even more if I go on. But you definitely had it, you even had My Bloody Father Time. So you definitely had like, a lot of slasher films in that golden era. So Halloween decided to do the second one, that being John Carpenter, I should say, if I get it right. He decided to do the sequel, that being Halloween 2. And it's a good one. It's, in my eyes, it's a damn good worthy sequel. Now it starts off, the music's a little bit off here. You get the Sandman. Never know the song of the Sandman, I'll help you out. Bum, 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, send me a team. I'm not going to do the rest. And it's those bits from the beginning of the, let's say the ending of the first one where Michael got stabbed. You know, he gets up, loaded all the kids to get out. And then you've got our mate again, played again by the legendary Tom Pesance. Shoots Michael Mathers, but then there's a little bit where they sort of like alter where he comes out and he notices Michael's gone. And you got one guy saying, I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight. And then Dr. Yumi says, you don't know what death is. And then it starts up again with that Jake theme tune, that do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But I've got to admit, this one was a lot better, because it was done, believe it or not, it was done on a keyboard, and I like it. There's little bits where the note gets cheapy and chilling, and in full fair said and done, it kind of reminds me a bit of Soul Done Assassin. Remember when I did that review, Soul Done Assassin? Just little bits where the music gets cheapy. If I could get away without getting done for copyright, I would play two versions. I'd play Soul Done Assassin, and I'd play the theme tune to Halloween 2, and you'd see what I mean. Because there's bits where the note really does get cheapy, and I love the opening. I like the opening in the original, but I like this one better because I love the way the pumpkin gets close up to you and it opens up, and then you've got a skeleton's face, and then you've got the eye going close up to you like that, and then you got the fulfillment. Again, you get bits. I like this because it kind of foils on from the original, which is funny because this was the original, as we all know, come out in 1978. This come out in 1981. So you've got people down that look like the 70s, if I get it right there, that looking like the 70s, even though the film was done in the 80s. So you've got our mate again, played by my mate, if I'm getting right, if I can pronounce his figure name right, that being Dr. Yumi, played by the legendary Tom Pesance. And he's shouting and raving. There was a cop who was in it in the original one, he always said fancy talk, and they're all looking for Michael. Now I've got to admit, it's a different actor playing Michael, and he was small and he looked like a little runt. But even though he looked like a little runt and he was only small, he still had a presence about him. Wasn't like fucking Robotop in the TV series where they have a little runt. This guy was really scary. He had eyes, he stares right at you. His eyes just look like it. It's hard to explain, but I don't want to get in trouble for copyright, so I can't show bits of the film. But his eyes, he just had these cheapy fucking eyes. His eyes, we could say, were the devil's eyes. The other with the Captain T-shirt mask, some people had problems with it, but I sort of liked it because I thought it was cheapier. He walked like he was in a trance. Michael Mathers did not need to run. He could walk, and them eyes that stare at you would fucking chill you to the bone. So there's a good scene in it where he jumps out, he stabs a door, bit of blood, and that's one thing with this one. One thing with it. This one, unlike the original, was a lot more bloodier, a lot more fire, and a lot more graphic. I do know, just like the original, they did two different edited versions. For the APC, they cut out all the violence, but they did include extra scenes like an altered ending. And I love the altered ending in it where Laurie wakes up and there's a guy who gets his head bashed in, but you think he's dead. In your theatrical, you think he's dead. That's not the case in the ending of the ending of Halloween 2, because he wakes up and you find he's not dead, and she's crying, and she says that line, "We done it, we done it," and then it ends. Sad to say, that's only ever been in the ABC channel. There's a few little bits here and there, but the death scenes were Tim Down originally. But at the time, as I said this last time on a review of Halloween 2, there was a lot of slasher films, and they were in competition. And it was all trying to make them out of bloody, out of fire. You know, it was easy money, it was cheap budget. So decided to put some more violence in it. Like, let's not forget the scene where he's in hospital and he's dipping his poor nurse's face in boiling water. And it's like I said once on a review, it kind of reminds me of a film I did called Deep Red, where there's a similar death scene where a woman gets her face dipped in water. It's quite a disturbing scene. I'm going to have to do this in 2 parts, people. It's quite a disturbing scene, but he literally burns her freaking face in boiling fucking water. I shit you not. He literally burns his poor woman's face in boiling, bloody water. And it's like, ow, that looks painful. So it definitely doesn't fuck around in the blood and gore department. My only issue is, and even John Carpenter didn't like this, was they had to alter the scene where Michael Mathers turns out to be Laurie Troldens, again played by Jamie Lee Curtis. It turned out to be a long-lost brother. I shit you not, a long-lost brother. I think at the time, someone thought was watching The Empire Strikes Back, and you know, Luke, I'm your father, and they thought of coming this out with the same idea. Nobody ever knows, but John Carpenter just didn't like the idea. He thought it was stupid. You know, to me, it was just a guy wearing a mask trying to kill people. I like the fact it's in an obstacle and he's killing people one by one in an obstacle. I love some of the death scenes I don't remember, but the scene where he rams a needle in a nurse's eye. There's a few scenes here and there what was copied like in most slasher films, and I remember mentioning this before. There's a scene where he bashes his poor copper's head in, which I believe was similar to death scene in Friday the 13th Part 2. There's a few similar deaths there, but I do like the music. I think it's cheapy. I love the way Michael walks in it. He has this cheapy type of walk. I mean, he doesn't have to run like in the fucking horrible remake and the horrible remake sequel. Doesn't need to run. He can walk. And he's in this, he's definitely the Sape. He's the Sape. I think it's a lot more nerving. I think the music is nerving. And not fair said and done, altering it and making it more bloodier, more fired, more bloodthirsty, more this. It added a charm to it because it made it more gruesome. It made it more bloodthirsty. And in my eyes, didn't fuck around in the blood and gore department. And that's what I love. I love about Halloween 2. I love it. Because I just think it didn't fuck around. It didn't need to fuck around. Michael didn't need to fuck around and chase you. Like the killing scene where he's chasing Laurie in this obstacle. And she's running and running and running. And you hear the cheapy music. But lucky enough, she gets out of it. And when you think about it, this is the first time that Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence actually meet one another. Because they never really met in number 1. What, nearly at the end. And even then they didn't really actually toast up from both to death. In this, Jamie Lee Curtis... Right, Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence are actually in the film together, and it's awesome. It's bloody awesome. So I love it. I think it's definitely a worthy sequel. I think at the time though there was going to be a scene right where I'll tell you the story. Why not? So nearly at the end, Michael Mathers is chasing Laurie, and Donald Pleasence gets stabbed by a staple by our mate Jason. Jason, fucking hell, take a bad putting on my pain. I mean by Michael Mathers. Michael stabs our mate, Dr. Lewis. Jamie Lee Curtis knows at this point it's Michael. She shoots him in the eyes. Michael's trying to cut her, but he ain't getting anywhere because he's fucking stupid. You know, he puts glasses on. He puts glasses on, as they say, Dr. Humus. He tells Laurie Stoughton to get the fuck out of there. So she gets out of there, lights it up, bows him, and bows Michael up. And this is the bit, nearly at the end, it never once mentions Michael. It never once mentions Dr. Humus. Because originally, there was only going to be 2 versions of this film. The original, because it made money. The second one, and it was going to be the last one. So originally, Michael was going to be dead. And Dr. Pleasence, again, played by my mate, Donald Pleasence, they was both going to be brown bread. It was going to be brown bread. Now, there was a guy in it, he had permed hair in the film, like I say. He thinks it's going to be a love interest between him and Laurie Troldens, again, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. was not the case, because in the film he fell, bashed his head, and you think he's dead. But original ending, like I just said, without repeating myself, oh, I'll just say it, the same what I just said before, it ended when he got up, and you have that ending. So you don't see it, so you never really did know what happened to him, unless you watched the televised one. But it's not a bad in this. I mean, it's a worthy one. That's why I'm going on and on, because it's a damn good sequel. I think it's scarier, it's cheaper, it's frightening, and it's one of them that always had me wondering what would have happened if they did only do 2 Halloween films. What would have happened? But it's a worthy sequel. It's bloodthirster. And this guy, even though he's not big, he's not 8 foot like the fucking remake, doesn't need to be. He stares at you, and the way he looks is frightening enough. This fucking Michael Mathis does not fuck about. This Michael Mathis does not take any prisoners. This Michael Mathis will fuck you up. And I love it. So yeah, points, why not? 10-star rating. I didn't do it on the original one, why not? Another 10-star rating, because they're 2 damn good films. Again, at the end, you got Mr. Sandman, pay me a team. And then you get that cheapy theme tune again. End of movie. I just got to the success of Halloween. Well, what can I say? John Carpenter wanted to make more, but with different stories. That's why I think originally this was going to be the last of that story. But the third one, as we know, that is a different story. I'll probably do that at another date. But until then, people, be smart, be safe, and I'll see you soon for some more movies and more movie reviews.